Good morning, everyone. Welcome to DigAlert's last virtual underground safety awareness event in 2025. Can't believe it's gone this by so quickly and only 2 weeks until Christmas. I hope everyone's getting prepared or has their shopping almost done. I do. Yay. At this time, I hope you can hear me. If not, please adjust your setup so that you can hear me. Also, if you have any questions, please utilize the chat, raise your hand, or your Q&A located in the menu bar. We will be answering questions periodically through the presentation. So every registered attendees will receive a $10 Starbucks e-gift card and safety awareness certificate. That's registered attendees. So if you are in a group setting, such as hopefully Utility Liberty, which I want to give a heads up and say hi. If you're in a group setting, please make sure that I get your first a list, an email of every person, the first and last name of all attendees, and any applicable email addresses. You can send that to me at amber@digalert.org. I can send the Starbucks e-gift cards and the safety awareness certificate to one person, or if you want me to send it to each individual person in that group, then I'll need their each individual email addresses. Please send that list to me by the end of the day to make sure that you receive your Starbucks e-gift card, which will be issued tomorrow. The e-gift cards are actually coming from Starbucks, not from DigAlert. So you want to make sure that they're not whitelisted on your, or blacklisted, whatever you want to call it, if you provide your company's email address. Also, every person who texts to 344-258, again, 344-258, the word safe with a space, the word win with then another space with your first name, space, and your last name, you will be eligible to win up to $100 Home Depot e-gift card. Just keep in mind that data charges may apply. And yes, you have to wait till the very end of the presentation because that's when the winners will be selected. And again, you want to text 344-258, the word safe, space, win, space, your first name, space, and your last name. And this slide will be shown again periodically throughout the presentation. So we would like to thank our sponsors of this webinar, Crimson, which include Crimson Pipeline or Crimson Midstream, Kinder Morgan, Long Beach Utilities, Marathon Pipeline, and SoCal Gas. So we would like to thank all of our sponsors because it's because of them that you are eligible for up to $100 Home Depot e-gift card and that you will receive a $10 Starbucks e-gift card if you're registered. So a little bit about DigAlert. Next year, not soon, we will be celebrating our 50th anniversary because we began in 1976. Unfortunately, after an excavation company hit an 8-inch high pressure pipeline on Venice Boulevard in Culver City. After everything was said and done, 16,000 gallons of the gasoline was released. It was ignited, which destroyed 7 buildings and 9 people were killed. Since then, 3 months later, DigAlert was formed. And since then, DigAlert now is the regional notification center here in Southern California. And we serve over 900 utility owner operators who are members of our service in 9 counties, which include Imperial, Inyo, LA, Orange, Riverside, San Bernardino, San Diego, Santa Barbara, and Ventura. And in 2024 and already in 2025, we processed over 1 million DigAlert tickets. So we are busy. Today, we're going to review and discuss the California One Call Law or Excavation Law 4216 and go over some regulations. I apologize now. We are going to review a lot of definitions. You might feel like you're back in high school. I apologize. We will review excavator's responsibility, who does have the majority of responsibilities in safe excavation practices. But we will still review owner operator's responsibility because it is a shared responsibility. And then go over consequences because there is, if you're not already aware of, we have an enforcement agency specific to 4216, the Dig Safe Board, and we will answer any of your questions. And with that, I did it again. I would like to introduce our president, Ann Diamond. And before we get into the process, she has some questions for you.
Thank you, Amber. All right. We're going to ask a couple of questions. At the end, we're going to ask a few more to see what it is that you have learned. But first, here's the first question. How did you hear about this event? Through the DigAlert website, you received an invite from Constant Contact, or did you see it on social media? How did you hear about this event? All right, we have 43 attendees, 30 people have responded. Thank you very much. At least we know our Constant Contact is working. So, since we asked how you heard about this, is this your first underground safety awareness event? Since COVID, we've been doing them virtually. At first, we were doing them monthly, a little bit too much. Then we started doing them quarterly the last year or so. And then in June this year, we also did one in person. The in-person one was very well attended. We like those, except that they're very expensive. All right, we'd like to also know on this, if this is your first event, are we giving you guys information that is brand new to you, or are we giving you information that you may already know and you might just be wanting to hone your information? All right, so, well, about 50-50 of yes, this is your first, or no, it's not. All right. And then my last question for right now. Do you have or do you use the DigAlert app? No, yes, or I didn't know DigAlert has an app. Do you have or do you use the DigAlert app? No, yes, I didn't know DigAlert has an app. All right, well, now that I've just informed you that DigAlert has an app, you'll now not be able to say, no, you haven't heard of this. We do have an app. It is a fantastic tool. It is free. It is on both your Android and your iOS applications, so your Apples and your Android phones or tablets. You can get information about your ticket. You can get a link to be able to do tickets. You can get a link to the law. You can get information about the color codes. And if you don't know what those are, we will be getting into that. So one of the things that I would say today is make sure you download the DigAlert app today if you don't have it, and that will allow you to have some more information when you're out in the field. And like I said, this is my last question for now. Amber, take it away.
Okay, thank you. So, the first definition we have for you is, what is an excavation? An excavation means any operation in which earth, rock, or other material, yes, material being sidewalk. This includes even if it's just saw cutting sidewalk material. This includes grinding asphalt. In the ground is moved, removed, or otherwise displaced by means of tools, equipment, or explosives in any of the following ways. Ready? Big breath for me here. We have grading, trenching, digging, ditching, drilling, augering, tunneling, scraping, cable or pipe plowing, and driving, or any other way. You are putting a shovel in the ground. You have an excavation, which leads us to the next definition. Who is an excavator? Every person on this webinar is an excavator. The only person actually who is exempt from contacting 811 prior to their planned excavation is a homeowner doing their own work on their own private property with no permit required. So every person who is an excavator who is doing an excavation must follow the 811 process. Some more definitions, told you so. Operator. What is an operator? An operator is any entity that owns, operates, or maintains a subsurface installation line. So our underground utility owner operators. But what is a subsurface installation line? It is any underground pipeline, conduit, duct, wire, or any other structure except for non-pressurized sewer lines, non-pressurized storm drains, or other non-pressurized drain lines. So what does this mean for you as an excavator? Excavators, if you go out to your job site and you do your survey of your excavation and there is noticeable non-pressurized sewer lines, for example, and they are not being notified on your DigAlert ticket, there's that exception. So what I would recommend is for you to contact those facility owners directly. Also, every operator who owns and maintains a subsurface installation is required to be a member of DigAlert, except for Caltrans. Caltrans is not a member of DigAlert. Now, Caltrans has to call or contact 811 prior to their planned excavation, but they are not a member of DigAlert. So what that means to you as an excavator is if you are working on Caltrans right away, they are not being notified by DigAlert of your excavation. So again, you would want to contact Caltrans if you are digging on their right of way. So 5 steps to a safer excavation. It is a process. Everything is this day. I am like stumbling. I do apologize. Maybe not enough coffee or maybe too much. It is a process. Everything is these days. And the process includes 5 steps, which is to delineate, then contact, wait, confirm, and then of course follow safe excavation practices. And we will go through each step. Another definition, but it is step 1, delineate. An excavator planning to conduct an excavation shall, and every single time you see the word shall in legal terms, that means you have to. It's not an option. Delineate the area to be excavated, and you want to do that in white paint or any other suitable markings, the location or path of your proposed excavation. If you do not delineate your excavation, or if you say, yes, I've delineated, but you think you're going to hurry up and beat those utility companies out there, but you don't. If the area is not delineated, the utility companies do not have to locate and field mark their facilities until you have delineated your excavation site. So first step, always delineate. Some best practices is to indicate with your white delineated area your company's initials or how you are identified in the excavation community, because every entity who puts the shovel in the ground must have their own ticket. So if you're on a multi-employer job site, or there's just more excavation in the area, or just to confirm that these are your white marks, always put your company's initials with your white delineated area. because the second step after you delineate is to contact 811. Now, the minimum notification is 2 full working days, not including the date of notification. But you can actually submit a DigAlert ticket up to 14 calendar days. Remember, this is for planned excavations. The government code says except in an emergency. So these are planned excavations. And if you can provide more lead time to the line locators, the utility companies, we encourage that you do so. I use SoCal Gas as an example because they are a big company. They receive thousands and thousands of DigAlert tickets daily. And if every utility company, if every excavator only provides the legal minimum notification of 2 full working days, not including the date of notification, they don't even have the resources to respond to those thousands of DigAlert tickets daily. So please provide more lead time if at all possible. How you can contact 811, the best and easiest and fastest and available 24/7 is our website platform called DigAlert Direct. You can go to direct.digalert.org. You can download or get a link to our DigAlert Direct through our free DigAlert app. You can even text us. Oh my gosh, I am. To 344-258, and DigAlert will send you a link to DigAlert Direct. And DigAlert Direct not only is available 24/7, but it has a lot of different things that you can do as a standard and professional user. And if you're not already a DigAlert Direct member, I encourage you to look into it. However, if you do need to call DigAlert, that is fine. Our customer service representatives are always available to help you. Just keep in mind that the office hours are only open Monday through Friday from 6 a.m. to 7 p.m., and this does exclude holidays. Oh my goodness. What happened? Sorry if you saw that. So the next step is to wait. The excavator, there's the word shall again, shall not begin their excavation until the utilities have fulfilled their obligations under subparagraph A of paragraph 1 of subdivision A of section 4216.3 and until the completion of any on-site meeting, if required. So what does this mean? While you excavators are waiting, this is when the utility owner operators, our members' responsibility kicks in. And what they are required to do, there's the word shall, they have to do one of 3 things. Either first and foremost, locate and field mark within the delineated area of your excavation. So with this, I always recommend my utility line locators to mark offsets. And I tell my excavators, ask for offsets, because if they only mark within the delineated excavation and that's where you excavate, it removes those marks, and then you're going to have to request remarks. And we'll get into that in a few slides. Or they could provide information, or they can indicate no conflict or no subsurface installation. Now, as you're waiting, excavators, if the utilities have done all of this, and they have posted it on the EPR, which again, we're going to get into next, you can actually now, well, effective January 1st of 2025, you can begin your excavation before your legal excavation start date and time if all the utilities have done one of those 3 things and documented that on the EPR. What is an EPR if you don't know? An EPR is short for electronic positive response. And what this means is every utility owner operator that receives a DigAlert ticket has to, there's the word shall again, document through the DigAlert system, through the EPR system, how they responded to your ticket. Did they locate and field mark? Did they provide information? Is there no conflict? And I always tell my excavators to look at your EPR before you even roll the truck, because the 4th step for you as an excavator is to confirm that those utilities have responded. How do you check those EPRs? Well, if you give permission, we can text you to 2 different phone numbers. We can email you to 2 different emails, and we'll give you the EPR responses seconds after your legal start date and time on the ticket. But if you want to check before your legal start date and time, or you don't want to give us permission, which I get, you can text us to PRESP and your ticket number to, again, 344-258, and we'll send you those EPR responses. Or you can download, again, our free app, and you can check your electronic positive responses there. Or you can visit our website at digalert.org and then click on check electronic positive response. And with that, I'm going to hand it over back to Ann, our president, because there are changes that are coming effective January 1st of 2026. And I want her to explain it. I think she can explain it a little bit better at this time. Ann?
Thank you, Amber. Also, beginning in January of 2025, DigAlert started sending a no response automatically when an operator did not provide an electronic positive response by that legal start date and time. There was no need for excavators to say somebody had not responded. Starting in January of 2026, we are not going to be taking manual no responses anymore, because a no response means that the operator of that underground facility did not provide a response through electronic positive response. Now, if the operator put there was no delineation, or that they were unable to access the site because it was behind a locked gate, and they got there at 4:30, and people left at 3:30, so that was their response. They responded. They provided a response. If there was no delineation and they respond that there is no delineation, go back a few slides. Amber pointed out that excavators shall delineate the area of proposed excavation. So back to beginning in January of 2026. If you disagree with whatever the operator has posted in electronic positive response, and you need them back out for any reason, there are a few other steps that you can take. First, you can submit the ticket as a return trip and state in the comments the reason you're asking the member to come back out and the fact you believe that the EPR that was provided is not accurate. And it may be that it was accurate, but example, now it is that you have delineated the area. If you are not in need of the members to respond back out to the location, then you can submit the ticket as an amendment with the same type of comments. But remember, these are legal documents. We need this information that is provided on there to be professional and just stick to the facts. The second thing you can do is you can file a complaint with the underground facilities, the California Underground Facility Safe Excavation Board, also known as the Underground Safety Board. You can do that at california811.org. There's a nice little blurb or picture, and you can file a complaint or information about a damage. So, beginning next year, there are no more manual no response tickets, because the system is automatically sending these for the excavator that somebody did not respond electronically. Instead, you can send a return trip when you want the operator to go back out for any other reason, or for any reason other than requesting remarks or a damage exposed. Or you can send an amendment. Remember, though, that amendment tickets do not require the members to respond to the job site or on the electronic positive response system. So if you need them to come back out to the site, please use a return trip. And I'm sure people will have some questions. There are already a couple of questions in the chat. And we will answer those once we get to our break for answering questions.
I do have a question. In 2026, will our computer automated system continue to send out no response tickets repeatedly until the utility company actually does respond, or until the DigAlert ticket expires?
Yes, every 2 days until the operator provides an electronic positive response or the ticket expires.
I'm sure we'll have more questions on that. But anyhow, the following step is step number 5 for a safer excavation. And this is excavators, please follow safe excavation practices. What this does mean is that if you are digging within the tolerance zone, which is 24 inches of either side of the marked facility or the exterior of the pipe, the government code says shall determine the exact location of that subsurface installation in conflict using hand tools. And what this does mean in a roundabout way, as if at all possible, you may want to hand dig into the depth of your excavation. Why do I say this? Because abandoned lines are a huge issue, in not just in the state of California, but nationwide. Unfortunately, what happens a lot, because another one of my other hats is claims. What happens that I see a lot, unfortunately, is an excavator believes they're doing their due diligence and they're hand digging, and they believe that they can't expose the marked facility in conflict, and then come in with the heavy equipment. And guess what? That wasn't the marked facility in conflict. It was an abandoned or maybe an unmarked line. Some of the best practices that owner operators should be utilizing when marking their facilities is not just marking in the APWA color code, but they should also be marking the type of pipe, PLA for plastic, STL for steel, and the diameter of the pipe. So that provides a safer excavation. If an excavator goes out there and there's a yellow marked facility with a 2 and PLA, what is that telling you, excavators? It's telling you that look for a 2-inch plastic gas line, right? And then if they do provide the diameter of the pipe, for example, the 2, you want to add 1 inch on either side of that tolerance zone. So it would be 25 inches. If it's an example of a water line and it's a 10-inch, add 5 inches. So the tolerance zone would increase to 29 inches of either side of that marked facility. However, you can still use vacuum excavation, and this is new in 2025. And I think it's a great for our excavators. Excavators, if you want to utilize vac, you can, but you do have to make sure that you inform your intentions that you want to use vac. On DigAlert Direct, it's a yes. Well, even if you call it's a yes or no question, but DigAlert Direct, you hit yes. And on giving another prop out to DigAlert Direct, if you always intend to use vac, you can have the default as yes, and then you never ever have to answer that question again. You call 811, our customer service representatives have to ask you every single time for every single DigAlert ticket. However, before 2025, when you wanted to use vac, you'd have to go out to the job site, see if you were going to be digging within the tolerance zone, and if there was a conflict, you would have to go back, or you would have to call all those utility companies to get permission. Not anymore. Now, if a utility owner operator does not want you to utilize back within their tolerance zone, within their facilities, they have to include that there's the word shall, include that information on the EPR, the electronic positive response. So if it's not there, if the utility says do not use VAC, and there's nothing on the information on EPR and the remarks comment section, then you can utilize VAC, which is great because now you don't have to call people. Now you can also, this is not too new, but you can use equipment other than hand tools to determine the exact location of a subsurface installation line. It is a handheld, percussive, pneumatic, electric, or hydraulic hammer, basically your clade spade. However, it does have to weigh less than 40 pounds. It has to have a bit width no less than 4 inches with rounded edges. You can only use this in the tolerance zone if the soil is classified by Cal OSHA as either type A or type B, and that is your company's responsibility to figure out that classification. Of course, you have to wait for the operators to respond because you wouldn't know if you're within the tolerance zone. Just like a shovel, please place the bit edge parallel, not perpendicular to that underground, to that marking. Hey, I have to say this, please use it per manufacturer's instructions. And this is kind of the only test that I am kind of going to give you. And you can use this clade spade to locate anything marked in blue, which is water. You can use this to locate anything marked in yellow, which is what? Your gas, oil, and steam. Anything in red, power, electric. Anything in purple, reclaimed water. Anything in, did I say blue already? I think I did. Anything in green, sewer. You cannot use this clay spade at all, no matter what, if anything is marked in the color orange, which includes your communications, includes fiber optic, but it also includes cable TV, telephone, alarm or signal lines, cables or conduits. It also includes street lighting or traffic signals, which sometimes they're marked in red, but they also usually are identified as street lights or traffic signals. So anything marked in orange, you cannot use the clade spade no matter what. My thing is not working. Now, if you are doing your due diligence and you're hand digging and you cannot determine the exact location of where that underground marked facility is supposed to be, you can contact that utility owner and they have to provide relevant existing information to you, the excavator, within 1 working day. They can't tell you, oh, I'll be there in 2 full working days, not including the date of notification. Within 1 working day, if you cannot determine by hand digging. Now, what is a working day though? Because it's probably not yours. A working day defined in the California Government Code is Monday through Friday, excluding holidays, from 7 a.m. to 5 p.m. Now, if you are digging within 10 feet of a high priority line, your high priority lines being your natural gas pipeline of normal operating pressure of greater than or 60 psi, your petroleum pipelines, high pressurized sewer, hazardous material, or your high voltage electric supply lines, conductors, or cables that do have a potential to ground of greater than or equal to 60 kV, that owner operator has to have an on-site meeting if you're digging within, again, 10 feet. And before your legal start date and time. And if they don't contact you, I would be contacting them directly because these are the ones that can hurt. If damage can hurt you, your crew, the community, require first responders, maybe even have a news helicopter above circling. And they also, excavators, can direct you on how to dig in or around their facilities. And I highly recommend that you follow those directions with little to no complaint, because again, these are the ones that can hurt you and your crew. Now that's the 5 steps to a safer excavation. But this is a regular, excavators, you still have more responsibility. But this is actually for excavators and owner operators. You guys need to keep your information updated. Owner operators, you must maintain a name, telephone number, and your email address. The Underground Safety Board, I call them Dig Safe Board because they go through so many names. During their investigations, they are getting very frustrated when they are provided the contact information that DigAlert has that is supposed to be provided and updated by our utility owner operators as they change. And, oh, that person hasn't been here for 10 years. We don't want to frustrate the Underground Safety Board. Now, for excavators, if your on-site contact information changes, because, for example, maybe your foreman has gone on vacation, especially this time of year, you need to update the name, telephone number, and the email address on the on-site contact on that DigAlert ticket, and you should need to do that as it changes, if it changes. Also, you guys need to manage your DigAlert tickets. Tickets are valid for 28 calendar days from the day it is submitted. If your work continues, all you need to do is renew your DigAlert ticket on or before 28 calendar days. Another great reason why to get through DigAlert Direct is it can help you manage your DigAlert tickets. Same with our DigAlert app. It will help you manage your DigAlert tickets. You can set a default having it then send you a link or reminding you that you have so many DigAlert tickets expiring within 3 to 7 business days, whatever you want to select. And in a couple of swipes, a couple of clicks, you can update all of your DigAlert tickets. If you are digging on a expired DigAlert ticket, and if there is a damage, you're probably going to be held liable, because the utilities are going to come to me and they're going to say, hey, Amber, was there a valid DigAlert ticket for this day and time for this location? And even by one day, if it's expired, they're going to end their investigation and they're going to start sending out bills or invoices. Now, this is nothing new, but it is just explained in the 4216 that if your ticket does expire and you are still working, you have to request a new DigAlert ticket, and which means you have to follow the 815 steps to a safer excavation all over again. Also, if the marks are no longer reasonably visible, you do need to request the utility companies to come out and remark. However, you do need to re-delineate your excavation site, because it can be safely assumed that if their marks are no longer reasonably visible, your delineated area is no longer reasonably visible. And yes, you do have to stop your excavation and wait 2 full working days, not including the date of notification, for the utility owner operators to respond. Now, Ann already kind of went through the return trip ticket, so I'll go through this rather quickly. If you get an EPR, you check your EPR, and anytime it says resend ticket, you have to respond to that response, and you do that through return trip ticket. Ann gave the example, and I'll do it again. For example, if you thought you were going to rush out there and delineate before the utility companies got there, and you didn't beat them, because if anybody's familiar with UtiliQuest, their office is their truck. And if they're in the general area and your ticket pops up and it says, yes, it's delineated, and they go over to that job site because they're there or near there, and there's like no delineations, they're going to say on their EPR, resend ticket, no delineation. And you'll have to respond through return trip ticket, okay, yes, it's really now delineated. Or again, the access code. Just keep in mind that when you submit a return trip ticket, it restarts the clock to 2 full working days, not including the date of notification. So try to make sure that you provide all the pertinent information before you submit your excavation so that it does not delay your job. So at this time, I get to get a sip of my coffee. So If you have not already done so, please use the chat, raise your hand, or a Q&A if you have any questions. And while we're answering any questions, please text the word 344-258, or not the word, please text to 344-258 the word safe, a space, the word win, W-I-N, space, with your first name, space, and your last name. And with that, I'm going to give it back to Ann Diamond.
Thank you, Amber. All right, we do have a few questions in the chat. Is pink paint allowed to distinguish markings from adjacent marks? Pink is really to be used for temporary survey marks. If you are using pink to delineate an area, we ask that you include that information on the ticket so that the operators know that they are not looking for white, they are looking for stuff in pink to know the area that is delineated. The next question in the chat is, if I'm a general contractor, do I need a DigAlert ticket? Oh boy. Just a month ago, at the Underground Safety Board, there was a large discussion about this. But if the general is going to be doing excavation, yes, you need a ticket. However, if you are not going to be the one putting a shovel in the ground, putting a backhoe in the ground, it is the sub's responsibility. A sub may not use, if a general says, oh, I'm going to get the ticket and nobody else has to, that is not correct. Every person, every entity that is going to be excavating, Amber gave you the definition of excavating, needs to have their own ticket. I hope that answered that one. Is there a rule in using vacuum with high pressure water? I'm not exactly sure on that. If you're talking about that the vacuum pressure is high, that may be something that operators may ask you to not use a single stream at 500 psi. It may be that I don't know if that's a high psi or not. I think it is. They may ask that it be a neoprene tip and that it be oscillating and that type of thing. If you're asking if you can use vacuum equipment near a high pressure water line, yes, unless the owner of that high pressure water line has said, no, you may not use that. All right. Continuing on with questions in the chat. Is it the homeowner's responsibility to call 811 for a contractor while doing work on their property? No, it is not the homeowner's responsibility. It is the contractor's responsibility. I do know that there are some contractors out there that don't want to have to tell the homeowner that they can't begin the job tomorrow. That they have to, get the ticket, that's the date of notification, and then wait 2 more working days before they can begin. So sometimes contractors will ask the homeowner to get the ticket so that they don't have to tell them, I can't begin digging yet. But it is the excavator's responsibility to get the ticket. Can you re-excavate an existing trench without a current DigAlert ticket? Example, repair a damaged conduit that was recently installed. Is the ticket still active? If it's within the 28 days or has been renewed, if you have an active ticket and you newly installed, then yes, you don't need a new ticket. However, as Amber pointed out, even if that ticket is expired by 1 day, you have to get a new one. All right. What is the reasoning of electric and pneumatic tools being okay to use except for fiber communication traffic lighting? That is what the Underground Safety Board came up with for the regulation after hearing from stakeholders, and that was one of their first regulations having to do with excavation practices. I hope that kind of answered it. That's really the reasoning, is that that's what they got from stakeholders, is that those were the ones that would be a problem with the clay spades, basically. All right. I think that is all of the questions right now, Amber. And I do want to point out that if you have very specific questions, and you want to, ask more, you can contact Amber, AMBER, at DigAlert.org, or myself, which is Ann, ANN, at DigAlert.org. And with that, Amber, let's talk about the operator's responsibilities.
Okay. Actually, not just yet. But going back to when the beginning of the presentation, remember when it says, except in an emergency, an excavator must or shall contact DigAlert? Well, this leads us to, what is an emergency? An emergency means a sudden unexpected occurrence that does involve a clear and imminent danger demanding immediate action to prevent or mitigate loss of or damage to life, health, property, or essential public services. So when it says except in an emergency, what that says is that if you have a true emergency as defined by 4216, you actually don't have to contact 811. I don't recommend that. I recommend that you submit an emergency DigAlert ticket, which is available 24/7 through DigAlert Direct, or call us if it's within our business hours of Monday through Friday, excluding holidays, from 6 a.m. to 7 p.m. If you cannot contact us, our free app has emergency contact information for our members, which then you can contact. But remember, we have over 900 utility owner operators. Not every utility owner operator has emergency line locators. However, the ones that you have to have an on-site meeting with, if it's digging within 10 feet, are sponsors, and any other high priority line, they do have emergency line locators. And those are the ones that you do definitely want to have contact with. However, if you submit an emergency DigAlert ticket and a utility rolls out to the job site and they're like, where's the immediate danger, demanding immediate action? Crew's not even on site. What? That utility owner can actually charge that excavator who submitted an emergency ticket for them responding. So make sure that you only submit an emergency ticket when it meets this definition. Emergency does not mean my customer wants me to start tomorrow no matter what. Or my water companies, a drip is not considered an emergency. Now, I understand it can turn into an emergency, but if it's just a drip drip, it does not meet this definition. So, what do you do if your customer wants to start tomorrow, or you have a drip, 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 and you want to start the excavation before the legal minimum notification of 2 full working days, not including the date of notification? I recommend, to avoid a possible charge, to submit a short notice ticket, which basically you're sending a note, a DigAlert ticket to the utility saying, I'm going to start before the minimum legal notification. But just keep in mind, and this includes an emergency ticket. So if you damage an underground utility line on a short notice or an emergency ticket, you could be liable for that damage. So what that means is you want to definitely hand dig, and you want to be very due diligent. Now, a damage, yes, is a fireball, a damage in the sky, a damage is water gushing down the street, but it also includes a nick, dent, gouge, groove, or any other damage to the underground facility. Now, this is new in 2025. It just explains the steps that you need to do as an excavator if you discover or do cause a damage to any type of high priority line. Remember, the ones you have to meet with, or if there is an escape of product from gas or any other hazardous liquid line. What you first have to do, excavators, is you must contact 911 first and foremost. Well, first and foremost, secure the area, back away, da 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 da. But then the first person you're contacting is 911. Immediately after notifying 911, you need to contact that utility owner operator directly. Now, if you're the utility owner operator and you cause that, I believe that you don't have to call 911. And Anne, if I'm incorrect on that, please let me know. Oh, wait, it's right there, duh. If the excavator is the operator of the underground substructure, you do not need to call 911 if there's an escape of gas. After you contact 911 and then after you notify that utility company, you do need to submit a damage ticket through the DigAlert system, but you have 48 hours to do that. Now, the enforcement agency, we've discussed this, the Underground Safety Board. Why I don't have California 811 as my link, I don't know. That will be updated in 2026. They are under the Energy Safety Department of the state of California. You can email them or go to their website. Their email is digboard@energysafety.ca.gov. You can go to digalert.org, which I recommend. And we not only have a button, but we have a tab on top of our website that you can go to click on there if you would like to file a complaint or file a violation. This is who you would file a complaint or violation with. DigAlert has no authority. We are the regional notification center. I kind of refer us to like the dispatch. Excavators contact us. We take the information as to who, what, when, where, and why, and then we send those to the actual utility companies for them to go out and mark what lines they own and maintain. You can contact me. I will listen, but just keep in mind that I actually have no authority. We're just the regional notification center. Complaints and violations are submitted through the DigSafe board. Also, the DigSafe board is coordinating education and outreach activities. I highly recommend that if you are not already on their e-filing system, that you go to their website and get on the list of their e-filing system. What the e-filing system will do is you'll get on their email. They'll email you with upcoming events, their general meetings, which are held in usually Sacramento, in which it's all you can virtually attend. They're going to have a lot of workshops in 2026. There's going to be a lot of discussion that I think everyone in this webinar should have at least an understanding of what they're proposing and what they're going to do. And if you want a voice, I recommend that, again, highly recommend that you join their e-filing system. The DigSafe board is also developing standards specific to the state of California, aka the Clade Spade. and they are investigating violations of 4216 and they are enforcing 4216. They are issuing fines or recommending fines. They are investigating. Now, the 4216, the consequences in 4216 include if an operator or excavator negligently violates 4216, you can be fined up to $10,000. Knowingly and willfully, however, and you violate 4216, you can be fined up to $50,000. Knowingly and willfully violates 4216 and there is an escape of any flammable, toxic, or corrosive gas or liquid, when you have to call 911, you can be fined up to $100,000. That's just 4216. There's other enforcement agencies. You have the Attorney General. You have the district attorneys. And FYI, 2024, I was actually contacted by a district attorney. And then excavators, the permitting agencies, they can revoke your permit. They can deny future permits. They can say, you know what, an excavator, you're an unsafe excavator. You are not digging in our area. Loss of jobs. Then you have the Contractor State License Board who can revoke your license and also issue your fines. For utilities, you have the Public Utilities Commission, the PUC, and also the State Fire Marshal. So those are the consequences that if you do not follow the 811 process could potentially result in these fines. Now, this is, I believe, the last option or last slide for you to ask your questions. Also, if you have not already done so, please text 344-258, the word safe, space win, space first name and your last space and then your last name. And do we have any questions, Anne?
Yes, we do. And it's one I really don't want to answer. How many times can there be a no response triggered before it's okay to dig? I have some tickets that end up having 6+ no responses. Typically the city streetlights. Well, as I said, beginning in 2025, we started doing the automatic no responses. If the operator has not responded within 2 working days, it triggers another one. And it will continue doing that until the ticket expires or the operator provides a response. Unfortunately, legally, you shouldn't begin digging until you've gotten a response. Now, if they've gone out there and marked on the ground and they just haven't done the EPR, you could begin digging. If they have provided you that, let's say they don't know about EPR. I don't know how they don't, because our operators that do not provide an electronic positive response on tickets that they are supposed to, we send them notices every month that they didn't. But no one likes change. And even though this has been, 5 years since this has happened, actually longer than that. So it really shouldn't be that big of change, but some people are very slow to make changes. If they have gone out there and marked and it says no conflict even, I don't know why they would spend those resources. If you continue to get these type of tickets, this is where the Underground Safety Board comes into effect, and you file a complaint that city streetlights or whatever city has not responded to tickets. The other avenue is I would look at section 4216.7, which allows for downtime claims and things like that. That's why I said I didn't really want to answer this question. That is not what we are about. We are not about litigation. We are about safety. All right, I have another question. What about driving in ground rods? You're moving the earth. That's an excavation. As a matter of fact, the addition into the civil penalties of $100,000 for escaping gas is due to an incident that happened in Murrieta, tragically, back in 2019, having to do with a ground rod. So, like I said, driving ground rods is considered excavation. All right, there are no more questions except for mine. Okay, everybody, get your thinking hats on. And here we go. Who does not have to be a member of DigAlert? Caltrans non-pressurized lines, communication companies, gas and electric companies, oil companies, or water agencies. Who does not have to be a member of DigAlert? Caltrans and non-pressurized lines, communication companies, gas and electric companies, oil companies, water agencies. All right. You are correct. The majority, 89% of you. Caltrans and non-pressurized sewer lines, storm drains, other drain lines do not have to be members of DigAlert. Oh, you definitely want your oil companies to be. They're the ones who are helping pay for our nice giveaway prizes today. All right, next question. Does an operator have to mark their lines if there is no delineation? It's either a yes or a no. Does an operator have to mark their lines if there is no delineation? All right, the majority of you are correct. However, for those who answered yes, because the answer is no, if the area is not delineated, the operator of that utility does not have to mark their lines. And the reason is they may not be sure where it is that you're actually working. They want to not guess where it is that you're going to be working and mark the wrong area. Now, there are some owners of underground lines that will mark whether you have delineation or not. But again, remember, it says in the law, an excavator shall delineate the area. All right, this is a question that Amber kind of pointed out as well. What utilities do not allow the use of a handheld percussive pneumatic electric or hydraulic hammer, your clay spade, to determine the exact location of lines in conflict? This is for your hand exposing the line. Is it communication, streetlights, traffic signals? Is it electric? Is it gas, oil, petroleum? Is it water, irrigation, or sewer? What utilities do not allow the use of a handheld percussive, pneumatic, electric, or hydraulic hammer, your clay spade, to determine the exact location of lines in conflict? Communication, streetlight, traffic signals, electric, gas, oil, petroleum, water, irrigation, sewer. All right. 81% of you are correct. It is the communication, streetlights, and traffic signals. One would think it would be gas, oil, and petroleum, but the Underground Safety Board, after doing workshops and hearing from stakeholders, determined it's communications, streetlights, and traffic signals. I can get a ticket anytime, 24/7, 365, from direct.digalert.org, from calling 811, contacting the utility directly. I can get a ticket anytime, 24/7, 365, from direct.digalert.org, calling 811, contacting the utility directly. All right. You are correct, 80% of you. It's at direct.digalert.org. Remember, if you call 811, we are only open Monday through Friday, 6 a.m. to 7 p.m. And if you contact the utility directly and say, I'm digging, the first thing they're going to say is, you need to call 811. How far in advance of your job can you get a ticket? 28 days, 1 day, 14 calendar days. How far in advance of your job can you get a ticket? 28 days, 1 day, 14 calendar days. All right. The majority of you are correct. It is 14 calendar days that you can get a ticket. And we encourage you to do not try and get a ticket. We encourage you not to do tickets as, minimum notice, which is 2 full working days, not counting the date of notification. The operators truly appreciate a little bit more lead time, because while you may have 5 or 6 jobs, they're getting thousands a day, tens of thousands a day, depending. 28 days is how long a ticket is active. Remember, you want to renew your ticket after 28 days, or by that 28th day, if the work is continuing. How can you check EPR responses on your ticket? EPR being your electronic positive response. On the DigAlert app, you can text PRESP and the ticket number to 344258, which is DIGALT. Provide a cell number and or an email for a copy to be sent. On the DigAlert's website, all of the above. How can you check EPR responses on your ticket? On the DigAlert app, texting PRESP and the ticket number to 344258, DIGALT. Provide the cell number and or email for a copy to be sent. On the DigAlert website, or all of the above. It is all of the above. We try and make it extremely easy for excavators to be able to not have to roll a truck out and to see what those responses are before they even go to the job site. All of those responses will be available seconds after your legal start date and time. And my final question. Who must provide valid current contact information? Operators, the owners of the underground lines, excavators, or both? Who must provide valid current contact information? Operators, excavators, or both? All right, both. Absolutely correct. This is a communications. We are a communications link. We want to be able to have operators and excavators communicate with each other, and having the most current information is what's needed. Excavators, again, as Amber pointed out, if you have somebody who, the foreman on the job is going to be gone for a month, get an amendment ticket and change the name of who the contact is so that operators know who it is that they're looking for when, if they have a question or they want to discuss something. Operators, you need to provide correct information so that if somebody, has a question about engineering or any of those type of things, they can get a hold of you easily. I do want to add something real quick that Amber mentioned about the Underground Safety Board and getting on their e-filing list. This last year, there was a new bill passed called SB 254. And it is going to affect pre-planning and large project jobs. And the Underground Safety Board has been instructed to, by July 1st of 2027, to come up with a regulation about pre-planning, facilitating information between engineers. I don't want to say excavators, because to me, an excavator is somebody who's ready to put the shovel in the ground. An engineer is somebody who's planning the job in advance of putting it out to bid for the excavator to put the shovel in the ground. Anyway, they're going to be having workshops throughout 2026. If you get yourself on this e-filing mailing list, you will know about them. Regulations, they need a lot of input from different stakeholders. The Underground Safety Board is not out in the field. There are a lot of their board members. They currently have 6. Those board members do have real world experience. They're out, some of them are out in the trenches, pun intended, that see things from their perspective, but they may not see them from the perspective that you see them. So I encourage you to get on their list so that you will know about these workshops. All of the workshops will be available via web as well as in person. Some of the in-person may be in Sacramento. Some of them will be here in Southern California. So just wanted to put that out there. And with that, we will go ahead and get our winners because I know that's the whole reason you guys joined this today.
Before we do that, Anne, I'd like to remind everybody who is in a group setting, who did not, each person is not registered, to please email me at Amber, AMBER, at DigAlert, DIGALERT.org, by the end of today. The first and last name and the email that you want the Starbucks e-gift cards to be sent to. Starbucks e-gift cards will be, I will request Starbucks to send them for tomorrow. So you do have all day to get me that list, but please make sure you get me that list. Otherwise, your group attendees may not or probably will not receive the Starbucks e-gift cards. Thank you.
Thank you, Amber. And I have put both of our email addresses in there. If people have questions, they can contact us. And our first winner for a $25 Home Depot e-gift card is Daniel Lockhart.
Ooh.
Our next winner is William Henderson.
Woohoo.
That's for a $50. Our next winner for $75 Home Depot e-gift card is Marlon Frausto, Frausto. And our final winner come on. Come on, come on. I apologize. My app is not wanting to cooperate with me. It seems to be hung up. I apologize.
Well, while it's thinking, um, there's a couple of things I want to end with. If you have your Home Depot e-gift cards, all winners will receive them today. Your safety certificates will also will be issued today, by the end of the day at the latest. If you guys do have any questions, please feel free to contact Ann or myself. Also, if you would like a copy of this presentation, the PowerPoint, it's going to be changed for January 26th, but if January 1st of 26, but if you would like this PowerPoint, also please just email me at amber@digalert.org. Hopefully that gave you time for the app to respond.
Yes. Yes. All right. And our final winner is Armando Ortiz.
Woohoo!
All right.
Awesome. And with that, remember, it's actually indicated in 4216.4D. We are a communication link. We need to communicate with each other. Um, we need to respect each other, respect those marks, um, so that we can have safer excavations and everybody can go home at the end of the day better than when we went to work, right? With a nice big fat paycheck direct deposited. So with that, unless we have any other questions, that concludes our presentation. And no more questions, right?
No.
Okay. Thank you, everybody, for attending. And have a happy new year, happy holidays, Merry Christmas, and we'll see you next year.